Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to Daily Code Buffer. Every day we are seeing a lot of different LLM models are being introduced and the world is going crazy about it. But to go through each and every LLM model and to get the maximum out of each and every model, the base understanding, the base thing that we need is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering will help us to achieve the expected output from the different LLM models. So understanding what is prompt engineering, its best practices and what are the different ways to do prompt engineering, it is really important. So this video is all about prompt engineering and we will go through each and everything about prompt engineering. So without any further ado, let's get started. In this section of the prompt engineering, what we are going to understand is, we will understand what actually is prompt engineering and what are the importance of crafting effective prompts so that we can get the maximum out of our different LLM models. How many types of different prompts are available and we can use those in the different varieties of the application. What are the best practices that we need to follow in writing the prompt so we can get the efficient output from the AI LLM models. And we are also going to see the different demonstrations of the different types of prompts in prompt engineering. So this is the agenda of this course and we are going to understand the theoretical and practical part of prompt engineering. So what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering means that you give an output to the system and based on that output you are expecting a efficient result from the LLM model. We already have discussed about the different LLM models, what is an LLM model and everything. If not, we are going to understand those in the future sections. But understanding the simple thing that you give an instructions to the model, that means you are giving an instruction to the AI model and in return you will get the effective output from that model. Now that output can be of the different types, different variations and many things. So to get the proper efficient output in those different output formats or in those variations will basically depends on how you are giving the prompt or how you are giving the instructions. Now understanding how we are going to give the different types of instructions to get the desired output, that entire thing is called prompt engineering. So in this there are different ways involved how we can get the desired output from the LLM model using the different prompt types that we can give to the LLM model. So this is what we are going to learn in this prompt engineering section. Now what is the importance of prompt engineering for any LLM models? If we describe that the way we give the instruction to get a desired output is completely random. So if we are giving any input to a model, so suppose if I have 4 different models available and if I'm giving the same output to all those different 4 models, it is likely chance that I will get a different output from all those different models. So we need to understand that how we are going to give the input to the system and how we are going to get the output from the system and how I can use those in my application. By just getting the output is one thing, but if I want to use those in my application to build the application around it, as an engineer we expect some commonness or uniqueness in the output from the different models. Once we identify and once we get the proper output as a desired output from the system, then we can work on those data and build the application around it. So that's why this is very important to understand about the prompt engineering and the different ways that we can get the outputs from the different prompts so that we can utilize it better in our application. So let's understand the different types of prompts available and how we can get the data from the different types of prompt and which prompt type we can use in which application. Instruction based prompts. So as the name suggests, instruction based prompts means we are giving some instruction to the LLM model and based on that instruction we are receiving the output back. In this instruction we are not giving any extra information to the LLM model. You just give one direct instruction that do this for me and based on that instruction LLM model will perform a task for us. So if we take the few examples here, right, regarding the math, travel, coding, all those different examples are there. And here you can see that we have directly given an instruction. So if we take the example of coding, right, we are directly giving the instruction that write a Python function to reverse a string. So it's a clear cut instructions what an LLM model needs to do, that it needs to write a function that would reverse a string which is given. Okay. For the travel, if you see, list top 5 tourist attractions in Rome, Italy and explain why they are popular. So you can see It's a clear-cut instruction that we're providing, that I need this information for this place and why those places are important. So we are giving a clear-cut instruction. So if we take the example as well, right, let me just copy this instruction, and if you go to ChatGPT and if I give this instruction that write a Python function to reverse a string, so this should give me clear-cut answer about it. So here you can see that based on the input that I have provided, it has given me a clear-cut answer and the explanation about it. So here you can see that it is a simple instruction and I'm getting the output. So here you can see that both the times I have given the same input, but you can see that we have a different sets of output both the time, right? So here you can see that based on this instruction given, we will get the desired output, but that output cannot be same every time. Okay, it's just the instruction based approach where based on some instruction we are getting some output back. So that's the simplest way to give any prompt to an LLM model. Let's talk about completion prompts. So completion prompts means that you are giving a prompt to the LLM model with some input, but you are not completing that entire prompt. You are keeping that prompt open for LLM model to understand and give the data back. So if we take the example of a math prompt, like the Pythagorean theorem states that in a right triangle dot dot dot. So that means that now I have just given the starting statement and rest of the thing is an open point which LLM model should understand and give the output based on that. If we take the next example, we'll get more clarity that on a warm sunny day in Paris, the best activity is to dash. That means now based on all the data available within the system, LLM model should understand that on a warm sunny day in Paris, what are the best activities to do and what people are doing and what information I have. So based on that fill in the blank, that information should give. So it's as simple as fill in the blanks. So in the coding example, it's the same thing. In Java, the main method serves as the entry point and is typically what. So if we take the same example and let's understand how it works. So if I get the same example here, okay, and let me just give to ChatGPT that on a warm sunny day in Paris, the best activity is to dash. And you can see that it started from there itself, from where we have given the blank, and it started from there. The best activity is to stroll along the Seine river, soaking in the views of the iconic Eiffel Tower, historic bridges, and blah blah blah. Okay, so it completed the sentence what we have given. So this is a completion type of prompt. When you don't know a complete answer or complete knowledge about it, you can directly give like this is what I am trying to say, and LLM model will give the output for that. Let's take one more example this way. Okay, in Java, main method serves as the entry point and is typically what? It typically follows this structure blah 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 and the explanation of each and everything. So here you can see that you are not giving a complete prompt and allowing a LLM model to complete your prompt for you and understanding each and everything from there. So this is how completion prompt will work. Zero shot prompts. Now zero shot prompt means that you are giving a clear-cut instruction. It is very similar to instruction based prompts, but here you are just giving that okay, do this for me without giving any examples. So for the math, you can see that what is the factorial of 5. So it's a clear-cut question that I want this information back. That's it. There is no more extra information provided, and LLM model needs to understand what is the question, and based on that we should get the answer. What does the term encapsulation means in object-oriented programming? So simple questions. What does second law of motion is? What is the Newton's third law of motion? So it's a clear-cut prompt that I am giving, and based on that I should get the response. So if we take the same example again, and if we ask to ChatGPT, you can see based on the question that I have asked, it will directly give me the answer based on that. So it's a zero shot approach where I'm not giving any prior knowledge. I'm just giving the question to the LLM model, and based on that question, based on the LLM's data it has, it will directly give me the answer based on it. Okay, so that's the zero shot approach. It's a very simplest form of prompts, just similar to instruction based approach. Few shot prompts method. Now in few shot prompts methods, what we do is we provide the different examples to guide the LLM model to understand what we are talking about. and based on the few examples that we have provided, based on that we will ask a question or we will ask a prompt to give me the next input or next output from it. So based on the examples given, LLM model should understand that what we are talking about, and based on that we can get the output from that. This is very similar to what you get a similar questions in the aptitude exam as well, right? Where you'll be giving a 3 sets of series and the answer to it, and for the fourth one you need to understand what this series belongs to and you need to give the answer. So here it's the same example method, right? 2 plus 3 is 5, 4 into 6 is 24, what is 7 minus 2? So here you can see we have given 2 examples that what this things is doing, and last thing I have asked the question. So this should understand that LLM model will understand, okay, 2 plus 3, 5 is an addition operation, the one is the multiplication of operation, and then we have given a subtraction operation. So based on that I need to calculate the output of that subtraction operation. Same way if you go with the coding example, the first example that we have given is the for loop iterates over a sequence. Example 2 is the while loop continues until a condition is false. Now based on that 2 information, explain how a do while loop in programming works. Okay, so it's simple thing, right? You can see I have given 2 examples, and based on that 2 example give me the third example or third output based on my question. Okay, so let's take these examples and understand how it is working. So I will take the same example here. Okay, and if I ask the same thing as a few short prompt to LLM model, you can see example 1 I'm giving, example 2 I'm giving, and question I'm giving. So it should give me the answer based on it. You can see that it understood the question and it gave me the output as well. Let's take the same thing for coding. Example 1, for loop is this, while loop is this, and what is do while loop? So you can see that it understood the question directly, and based on that it gave me the output and the examples of each and everything. So this is how the few shot prompt works, where you give few examples for LLM model to understand, and based on that example you will get the output. So when you are working with the application, right, so at that time this type of approach makes more sense, where you give some of the input because you would need a particular output format when you're building an application. So in those cases you can give some few short prompts where you give that this is what the different examples are, and based on this example this is my prompt and I'm expecting such type of responses. So once we have the complete huge prompt which has all the information given, your output expectancy will increase, where you will get a very similar type of output. Okay, that's where few shot algorithm is being used. Role based prompts in prompt engineering. Now role based prompts are very popular, where we need to get the clarity or understanding about some things. Okay, where we ask a LLM model to assume itself in a particular role, and based on that role we ask some question, and with the role that we have provided to the LLM model it will give the output for the input. So suppose if I want to understand about the accounting, okay, then I will give the role to the LLM model that you are a chartered accountant, okay, and I will ask you some questions about the accounting and you need to give me answer based on that. If suppose travel agent, right, then I will tell that okay, you are a travel agent, consider you are a travel agent and you are doing all sorts of things, and based on that I have some questions and you being a travel agent answer me some questions. This type of prompts are really helpful when you are also preparing for your interviews, where you can ask your LLM model that you be an interviewer and ask me some questions in any kind of situation, right? So when you want a role based specific question and answer type of thing, at that time we can use role based prompts. So if we take the few examples here, right, we already talked about the travel one, and you can see that for the math, you are a math professor, teach a concept of algorithm to a high school student. So based on the prompt that we have given, based on the role specific and what is the output expected, your output will also, or your expected output will differ based on the roles. Okay, so if we take this example that okay, you are a senior software engineer, explain why code readability matters. Now if I ask the question that you are a chartered accountant and explain why the code readability matters, that output would vary a lot, because the role is different, and based on the role the output would differ a lot. So if I ask the same question as a senior software engineer, explain me why this matters, so based on that I should get a proper output. Now if I change the role, that will change a bit. So this is how, if you want to get anything based on the role based output, and if you want to have a conversational type of discussions with the AI model, this is what we can use. Conversational prompts. Now conversational prompts are very helpful when you want to do some conversations or you want to have some follow-up questions to the AI model. So you have started some conversation, like you ask some question to the AI model, you get the output of that. Now on top of that, you also have some follow-up questions, or you want to have some questions contextualizing the previous question that you had, or contextualizing previous answer the LLM model gave you. Now based on that, if you have started conversation on top of it, it's a conversational prompt. So here we have some examples here, right? Like user is asking what is polymorphism, and AI model has given already an answer of what is polymorphism. Now based on this question, you already have some more questions to ask based on the same topic, right? You can provide the follow-up questions to that, and based on that follow-up question, AI model will remember based on what client it is, it will remember what was the earlier context, and based on that context you will get the more answers or follow-up answers from it. So that's the conversation that you are doing with the AI model that will help you to build the entire chat history to understand some topics or to understand some output context from the AI model. So this generally is highly used within the personal space where people are trying to use the different AI models like ChatGPT, and you start a conversation with the chat model to get some data from the models. So let's take the example as well. Let's ask ChatGPT. Okay, we are asking what is polymorphism here, and based on the same thing it gave me the answer. Okay, you can see that it's giving me the complete answer, and here you can see that it gave me the answer in Java. But now I have a follow-up question. Can you give me in Golang? So here you can see that I'm having a conversation where based on the question and the output given by the LLM model, I'm asking a new thing. So based on the same conversation, it should understand the same thing, and it should give me in the contextual data based on the input I have given. Okay, so you can see that now it gave me the same data, same explanation, everything in Go language for polymorphism. So this is how the conversation happens with AI model for conversational prompt approach. Chain of thought prompts. Now chain of thought prompts has been highly used when you want to do some reasoning with AI model. If you are asking some input and based on that input you need an output with a proper reasoning, at the time we will use chain of thought prompts. And what we will do is we will ask an LLM model to give us a complete thought process or a complete step by step how you reach to that particular solution. So suppose if we take the example of maths, right? If you're giving some formula to get me the answer, right? Generally what happens is if you're giving a formula, it will calculate that formula and give you the answer. But if there is any integrals or differentials involved, and if you want step-by-step approach, like at each step what has been happening, okay, what all the steps are followed to get you the proper output, proper result, at the time you can ask that, okay, I need all those steps which are involved or all the reasonings which are involved to get you to that answer. Then all the steps will be included, and you will also understand what are the reasonings being followed by the LLM model to get you that particular answer. So you will get more clarity how AI model is reasoning the question and you are getting the output from it. It is very helpful when you are analyzing something or when you are debugging something based on the data provided. Let's take the coding example. Write a Python program to calculate the Fibonacci sequence and explain all the steps. So now we can see that we are asking the reasoning, and this should give me a proper reasoning with all the steps. Okay, so here you can see that this is the Fibonacci sequence formula. Okay, and this is the Python code, and then you can see that we are getting the explanation for each of the steps, like what all things that we are doing, what each line of the code means, and based on that what we are expecting as a result. You can see that everything is involved. So now based on that I have already got a complete information, like what was the thought process of the AI model to get me the desired output. Okay, when we want to use such type of things, at the time we will be using chain of thoughts. This has highly been used when you want to get a proper output and you want to work on this output to get more data when you're building your applications. Creative prompts. Creative prompts has been used when you want to generate some imaginary outputs. So we have all been using different types of image generation, video generation, audio generation tools, right? All those type of tools are been using creative prompts to generate some data. If we take the example, right, you can see that all those examples described here are imaginary inputs, and based on that imaginary inputs I'm asking to get me the output. So here you can see that in the coding example I'm saying that imagine a future where AI writes all code, write a sci-fi short story about it. Okay, for math, write a short story where numbers comes to life and solve a mystery. For travel, describe a perfect sunrise hike in the Himalayas. So you can see that everything is based on the assumption or an imagination, and based on that you are giving an input, and based on that you are getting the output of it. So if we take one example, let's see how it happens. Okay, so I'm taking this and giving the prompt that imagine a future where AI writes all codes and write a sci-fi short story about it. And you can see that it gave me the title as well of the story and the complete story as well. The code of tomorrow. In the year 2157, the world was no longer driven by the hands of programmers typing away at keyboards, blah blah blah. I will also add the story in our section so you can read out as well. But this is what it has generated for us. So you can see that it will also help us to generate the creative outputs based on the data it has. So all those creative inputs also, creative prompts also we can provide to LLM model, and we can increase the creativity in different fields as well. Comparison prompts. So comparison prompts has been used when we want to do some comparison operations. Okay, if you want to compare two things or multiple things, and I want to get the output from the LLM model for those type of things, at that time we will use the comparison prompts. So here with the examples we can see that we are doing comparison for each and everything. Compare the performance of Python and Java for web development. Compare traveling to Japan during cherry blossom season versus autumn. Compare the efficiency of solving equation graphically versus algebraically. So you can see that all those comparison prompts that we are giving, and based on this comparison prompt we should get the output for those comparisons, so we can get a more clarity what we are expecting the result. So if we take this example, compare performance of Python and Java for web development, let's see what we are getting as an output. So you can see that now it's doing the comparison for performance between Java and Python. Okay, ease of use, you can see a lot of things has been scalability, community support, security. You can see that by just comparison it has already identified what are different parameters it can be compared against and given the output to us. So you can see that it has given me the output based on the different pointer base as well, and it also gave me in the table format as a final comparison. So you can see that when you want to do some comparisons rather than directly going through the different web search, this is a really good way to get your comparison data. So when you are doing some analysis for some comparisons, this is the way to go. Debugging prompts. So when you are trying to do some debugging or trying to identify some errors in any of the situation, right, at the time we will use the debugging prompts. So in any of the example, if you see, right, what we are trying to say is I have something available, fix it for me, or find the error and fix it for me. Okay, or give me a solution for something. This is mainly when this is widely used by the software developers, right, as we are trying to solve many of our problems and we use ChatGPT or any LLM models to identify the output or identify the errors and trying to fix it rather than just going through Google and identify the errors. So this has been highly used by the software engineers to debug their problems and to fix it, but it can be used in any situations as well. So if we take this first example, right, the equation is incorrect and I know it's incorrect, but I don't know what should be the correct equation. So I can take this and ask LLM model that, okay, so I know something is wrong here, but what wrong it is, I don't know, and how to fix it, that also I don't know. So I can ask it as a debugging question and it should give me the proper output, like what is wrong and what should be the actual result. Here you can see that we had given the prompt that 2x plus 3 equals to 12, where x equals to 6. But technically, which is incorrect, right? So it has already given me, this is the input that I have given, And if I try to solve this equation completely, I'm getting x equals to 4.5. So that means the equation that I've given, that is x equals to 6, which is wrong. It should be x equals to 4.5. So it has corrected the answer for me, corrected the equation for me. The same thing will apply for all the different prompts as well. So this is how we can try to identify or try to debug different scenarios where LLM model will try to help us in the real world examples. Now till now we have seen different types of prompts that we can do for an LLM model to get different types of output or to get different types of desired behaviors from the LLM model. So as we give the different types of input, we'll get a different types of output based on how we are interacting with the LLM models. But with all of those, we need to understand the different best practices to be followed as a part of prompt engineering, so you can build your AI applications really efficient and really concise to get the desired output from the models. So what we need to take care, we need to make sure that whatever the prompts that we are giving are clear and specific. If you are trying to give any random prompt, then the data that we are going to get back, the output that we are going to get back will not be consistent. So to make sure that we are getting a consistent output and LLM model is able to understand what we are trying to say, we need to make sure that the prompt that we are giving should be very clear and very specific what we are asking. If you are trying to give a prompt that I want to find a anagram based on the string, then you need to give proper input that I'm going to give you a string, and that string can be null as well, it can have this many characters as well, and I want to find a solution for that to check the string is anagram or not. Within this particular time complexity, I want to use this language to give me the output, and that output should have this particular format, this particular code, and that particular code should be in this class. So you can see that you are giving a very detailed and specific instruction to your AI model to get you the desired output. You are not directly saying that I want to check the anagram for the string, give me the output. So what AI model will do is AI model will just understand it, and based on the top results or top data available, it will understand and give you the output. It can be very random. One time you will get a data in Java, one time you will get a Python, one time you will get Go. It will not be a specific. It will understand from your history, but if you are giving a specific instructions, you will get a very proper results. The next is iterative refinements. So it is not always true that once you are giving a particular or once you are creating a particular prompt, you will always be correct in that prompt. You will always get a consistent results. We always need to test whatever the prompt that we are writing, or we need to tweak those prompts as well to get a desired output. Once those prompts are tweaked, that prompt we can use in our application to build the wrapper or build an application around it. So if you're building an application where you need some data in a particular format, right? So at that time we need to tweak our prompt such a way that the LLM model is trying to understand what the input is, and it's also trying to understand what the output we need to give. For that, different testing and tweaking we need to do so that desired output is been met and the consistency is very high. Based on that consistency, we can add those prompts in our application so that we'll get the proper output. Provide context. So adding relevant background information is really key for LLM model to understand what we are talking about. And based on that data, we will get a proper results. There are many ways to add the context. One of the industry standard is using the retrieval augmented generation, where we will give a complete context around what we are talking about, because every time LLM model will not have the latest or relevant context. So that's why we will use the RAG system to provide the context, and based on that we will get a proper output. Leveraging few shot examples. So as we talked about the few shot prompt, right, we are giving few examples so that LLM model will understand what we are talking about, the different patterns and everything, and based on that pattern, whatever the input question that we are asking, it will be easily be able to understand and give the proper consistent output from it. And encourage a step-by-step reasoning. Using a chain of thought system, as we talked about earlier, will allow us to understand the reasoning been used by the AI model to give us the output. If I just give the question and I'm just getting the response back, I don't know from where the data was collected, from where the data was been analyzed and given back. But if I ask about the step-by-step reasoning, I will get a complete understanding what all things are happening and why we are getting that output. So that reasoning, step-by-step reasoning, is very important if you are doing something with the AI model, because there is a lot of data available and we don't know from where the data is being used. And defining the proper format is a very key thing when we are working with the LLM models, because when you're working with the LLM model, the output data can be very random. But if you want to work around the application, when you want to build the application, how you are getting the data back is key to handle that data programmatically. If you want, or if you are expecting something in a table or a list or a string, then we need to provide that formats that, okay, this is my input, this is the reasoning data, this is the context information, everything, but I'm expecting output in this format. So once you give that format, AI model will understand that, okay, based on all the data available, based on all the context information and few examples already given, this is the also output format given. So now very concise information is available as a prompt, so that you will get a proper output information as well, which is very key in building the AI applications. So these are some best practices that we need to follow in prompt engineering to build our applications. This is all testing and tweaking that we need to do to make sure that we are using a correct prompt to make sure our application is running as expected and getting the output as expected. So I would encourage you to build applications and create your prompts, define your prompts in such a way that you are getting a consistent output from the different LLM models as well. So what are the challenges of using the LLM model and what are the different applications of prompt engineering? If we talk about the challenges, handling the ambiguity is a really big challenge. If we talk about the different LLM models, right? And whenever we are asking any prompt, it is high chance that we can get the ambiguity in the data that we get. Okay. So if I am asking some question, it is high chance that if LLM model does not know about that, it can give the ambiguous data. We need to make sure that we don't get those ambiguous data, and we need to write a prompt in such a way that it has the relevant information. And if in case LLM model does not know about that data, we get a proper output that LLM model, okay, I don't know the data and this is what the output is, but it should not give the ambiguous data. A LLM model should not hallucinate when giving the outputs. So these all are the challenges that are already there, and there are different ways to handle those challenges as well. But we need to make sure that we are handling those challenges and we are building applications such a way that we are handling those ambiguity and the hallucination from the LLM models. We also get the biased or incomplete outputs from the LLM model. So that type of data, when we are getting a complete biased data, if I'm asking about politics or climate change or anything, if there's any biased information, then those biased information we will get. We need to make sure that there is no biased information or incomplete information. So we need to make sure our prompt such a way that we are getting rid of those data as well, to make sure that there is no hallucination or redundant or incomplete output from the system. So these are the current challenges that we need to make sure that when we are building the application, those things are not there. Now, where the prompt engineering is been highly used, mainly if you have seen in the industry, there are a lot of coding assistants out there, right? In the different IDE platforms, which will help you to generate few methods, to identify your code, to explain your code, to create the test cases and everything, right? So in those cases, if you see, prompt engineering has been highly used to get you the output. If you want to write a method to do some particular task, rather than directly writing your method, what you do is you ask your model to give the output for it. So in coding, prompt engineering, LLM model has been highly used to get the output. Content creation is another industry where AI has been highly used to get the different ideas, to create the scripts, to ideation, to get the different related components. So if I talk about creating a YouTube video, it helps to ideate the topic, get me the title, get me the thumbnail, structure my script, and then it also helps what all things to be included in your video. So you can see it has highly been used in content creation industry to create content as well. There are different tools available which also help you to create images, create videos, create audio, transcription, and many things. It has been also highly used in personalized learning. So if you want to learn anything, with the help of AI and the different LLM models, it also gives you a lot of context to understand how it works. and how the different things works, and you can learn a lot from these models. Automation is another industry where the AI has been highly used to automate many stuffs. In the software engineering also, there are a lot of different areas where automation has been used with the help of AI to automate many tasks to reduce the redundancy or manual efforts as well. So these are the different challenges that we talked about and different applications of prompt engineering where it is highly been used and getting the highest amount of ROI from the AI models. I would encourage every one of you to understand how the prompt engineering works. Make sure that whatever the prompts that you are doing, you get or you use the different approaches that we talk about to get the desired output and build the applications around it. So that's been it in the prompt engineering. You can see that we have gone through a lot of different ways that we can do prompt engineering. A lot of different ways like zero shot, few shot, chain of thoughts, and many more. So these are the different techniques that has been helpful to get the desired output for your questions from the different LLM models. This helps in creating a different application using the AI so that whatever the prompt that you give, based on that you will get a proper answer and you can use that in your application. So start building application and let me know in the comment section what you're building, and the entire community can learn from it. If you want to know more about any of the things, then do let me know in the comment section below. Share this video with your friends and colleagues who are interested in this topic. Like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are interested in such more topics. I will see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding. Bye bye.